Can I help you? I guess I'm starting.
Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. Hope
Yay,
everybody
Sunday.
changed their clocks. Actually, it's pretty nice these days that it's like you just wake up and your the time on your phone is like automatically updated in your computer and stuff. Although when I picked up my phone for some
And
reason,
the car, too, because ours is all integrated in the
Oh,
dash.
okay.
It updated in the car, too.
like when I picked up my phone this morning, I turned it on and it said for a second it said 11 something, and then I was like whoa, and then it flipped to like 8. I felt like I slept in. It was 8
Well,
o'clock.
So I woke up at like 6:15, which was really what, 5:15? There's no reason for that. None whatsoever.
But
It
then
was
you
still
didn't
dark.
wake me up.
Why was I going to wake you up?
Why'd you let me sleep till after 8?
I didn't need to torture you.
I would have been happy to wake up an hour earlier.
I was not happy about it. Why would I need to share my misery?
I just
Next
felt-
time I will just
I was
wake
just
you up.
annoyed because I lost part of my day, and I have 500 million things to photograph today. I have like over 150, and I need to get it done so I can get to listing. So it's gonna be a day. But
It's going to be a minute.
it's gonna be a minute or 50 million minutes.
Yeah.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the show. If you are new here, I'm Katie. This is Vikki, aka Victoria, when she wants to be taken very seriously.
You haven't said that in a while.
AKA Sassy McSasserson, AKA my wife, AKA she's stuck with me forever.
You don't say ma fiancée anymore.
No. And you had a bad dream last night that apparently I just took off. I was like, see you later, bye. And I said, no, you're stuck with me. You're never getting
It's true.
away. And it's just the way
Probably
it's gonna
stuck.
be.
I'm probably stuck for a while.
Probably. You are. I don't have a car.
Still with that, I don't have a car. So she sold her car probably 6 months after she moved here because we worked from home and there was no reason to have 2 cars and 2 car payments.
Especially the cost of insurance here.
Yeah, it was definitely not worth keeping it registered and insured. So now she's been saying for the almost 7 years we've been together that she's trapped because she doesn't have a car. Because God forbid you buy another car or have a car payment.
No.
It's just easier to have the car in my name.
Anyway, Lori wants to know how long will it take 150 items for me to photograph 150 items. It actually doesn't take me too long.
It'll probably take you about 4 hours.
Yeah, for 150, yeah, probably like 3 to 4 hours. And you know, over the years, my time I've definitely sped up a lot. I get faster and faster, and different tools have allowed me to be even faster because I am pretty anal about how my pictures are taken.
Mm-hmm.
But like Photo Room has helped a lot, and so I don't have to worry as much about like everything being perfect like right in the photo. And I recently switched over to a flat lay, which you know I have mixed feelings about it. Some of the pictures I think look better, but it definitely is faster, and it's a lot nicer on my back because the way I have it set up, I'm not having to like constantly be taking down the mannequin and. I mean, I was pretty quick with it, but
It's way faster to flat lay, and I think with what you sell, and I've said it for quite a while, but it takes Katie a long time to make change on things. I've said it for quite a while that flat lay was probably best for the majority of what she sells. With menswear, you know,
Yeah.
t-shirts, dress shirts, sweatshirts, sweaters, they're very easy to flat lay, and you do not need to have a 3-dimensional photo on those 99% of the time.
Yeah.
If there's something that'll look much better on the mannequin, then I'm sure she will put it on the mannequin. I see Crystal in the chat. Crystal, hi, sweetie. Haven't seen you in forever. I miss you. I think we're going to see you at some point this week, hopefully. Trish and Teresa and our friend Susie are here in town for ASD. And yeah, I mean, we're going to see them at some point. I don't know when, but hopefully we will be able to get together and do some dinner.
Yep.
And then I did see that... I don't know, it's weird. This first time Trisha's not staying with us when she's here in town, except for when we do the remix. If you scroll up a little bit, I did see Segan is in the chat too. Nice to see you. I'm going to resell it. We're here. So it is 68 degrees, little cloudy
it's a
today.
little overcast right now.
But 68 degrees. Yes, Crystal, they're here today. I only know this because of Trish. So we'll chat offline.
Yeah, it's been a fun week. We just filmed a haul video earlier today. So the beginning of that video, we kind of get more into like some of the stuff we were doing yesterday. So make sure you watch that. We did actually do 2 haul videos this last week, but we've got one for this week. But pretty much like you've been at home for like the last week, not going anywhere.
I didn't go anywhere.
Not even into the sun, even though I told you like you're very capable of just walking out the door of the back of our house into the nice big backyard. She doesn't go outside, which she's fully capable of doing, and then she'll go, I haven't even been outside.
Yes, because I sound just like that.
But I'm like, I'm not really sure like what it is that's stopping you.
So Cynthia asked in the chat, I've been meaning to ask, is there a chance you can buy the house you live in eventually? I
don't think so.
Uh,
Highly doubtful, because
I don't think he's going to want to sell. The landlord wants to sell it, and we actually don't have any interest in buying this house or any other house at this time. Maybe eventually, but right now it's definitely not a buyer's market.
I don't think he has any interest in selling, because when we first moved in here, it was like right at the height of the real estate market here, and
2 years ago exactly,
and he could have made a bunch of money.
He could have sold the house for about $800,000 in 24 hours, and now it's probably down to around the $750,000 range.
So I think he's really wanting it for the income every month.
Yeah, he wants the income investment. So we just renewed our lease for 3 years, so we don't have to worry about moving for a while, and locked in at the same rate and everything. We're overpaying for the market, but it's better than trying to move.
Well, and
6,000 items of inventory. And I really love where we live. The last place I was at, I lived there for 9 years. Yeah. Prior to that, I lived in my home. I owned my home in Rhode Island. So I'm not somebody that likes to move. I like to stay if it's a good place.
Yeah. We love the neighborhood. We love our mail carrier. We love our landlord. I mean, there's a lot of things that like really make this the perfect location, and things we couldn't have necessarily predicted, like landlord, mail lady. And so, we could move somewhere and have it be cheaper, but there's certain things that are kind of priceless to your business. So, we're happy with where we're at. Anyway, so we've just been working. We actually we're partway into the month. We're not doing any more traveling for a little over a month now, going forward. So we are kind of buckling down and trying to get a lot of work done and really focus on our businesses and stuff. I need to build up my draft bank big time, because I have nothing in it right now, and that's why I'm like, oh, I gotta get my pictures taken, because then we've got like 3 trips planned almost back to back to back. We're going to Texas, going to on the cruise, and then like another week after that we're going to New England for a week. So we've got, and that's a lot, especially, with our business. It's like, okay, it's fine to leave for a week, but when you're like, okay, leaving one after another, it's going to be tough. So we need to like work hard here for this next month.
Get our butts moving. And there's a couple people in the chat. I just want to see some of our local people in the chat. Obviously I see Crystal and Jay and Jody, and I even see Alana in there. So go ahead and make sure that you notice that we are doing a meetup. I know not everyone is on Facebook all the time, so I did put the invite in the meetup group. We're doing a bowling meetup toward the end of this month, so hopefully we'll see it there. Jay,
we're not going to ASD.
We're not going to ASD.
We don't sell anything like that.
I've been before several times. Katie's been before. It's not my thing. I don't sell anything from there, and it's really it has zero interest for me.
I thought it was fun for the experience, and at the time I did like buy out a booth of like a bunch of jerseys and stuff the one time that I went and did a couple videos on it, but ultimately that's just not either of our selling models to buy new stuff.
We don't sell on Amazon. If we sold on Amazon or Shopify, or you're looking to buy private label, there's many reasons to go to ASD, but that's not the nature of what we sell or buy. So there's really no interest in it for us. It's definitely for volume-based buying.
It's a cool experience.
It is a cool experience, and it's free. I think it's actually free up until like yesterday. You may have to pay now. I'm not even entirely sure because it's last minute, but it's free to go. It's free to register. Anybody can go. You don't even really have to be a seller. You can make up a selling name. It doesn't matter. ASD really stands for Association of something. I
don't even know if it stands for anything anymore. I think it's one of those things where it's changed. But it's basically, Jody,
it's all vendors.
You go and you can, there's just tons and tons of booths. It's like you're building relationships to buy bulk, like clothing, chapstick, shoes, knickknacks, like stuff that you would want to buy in volume and sell online. So, or even like locally in
And you can
shops.
buy your own. There's some cash and carry vendors that you can go and buy things yourself at cost for your personal use. It's just not a thing that I've ever had interest in. So Crystal, you'll get to hang out and see our friends. We're not invited to do that, so you have fun.
Yeah. I mean, we could go to ASD if we wanted to. We can go anywhere we want.
I'm aware.
But like when I bought out the booth, it's like a lot of times they'll be, it's like they don't, if you wait till like the last day, they don't want to have to like ship home all the stuff. So that's sometimes a really good way to make deals and get really good prices on stuff. So that's what I did when I bought like a bunch of jerseys. They were like a bunch of like retro
A lot of times you will go even day one and they will have the booth has already been sold signs because people know to go and do that early on.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, so we want to do our...
So this is our regular show. You gonna let me get through the spiel?
Yeah.
Are you sure there's nothing you would like to interject here? Are you positive?
Do the spiel.
Okay, don't read any comments because then you won't be able to let me finish.
It's true. I can't look. I'll look up.
Okay, so this is our regular Sunday show. We break it into 3 parts. The first part, we look at our gross sales over the last week over all of our platforms. Then we break down some of those costs like the fees, the shipping, the cost of goods, most importantly. Middle part of the show, we look at sales highlights, some of the cool stuff that we sold over the last week or interesting or educational or maybe stuff that like we shouldn't have gotten in the first place. And then the last part of the show is when we talk about what we were able to accomplish this last week or not accomplish. And set some goals for the next week. And of course, as always, we invite you guys to participate in that and put it in the chat, put it in the comments after the fact, and let us know where you're at, what you're trying to do. If you need to vent, if you need to give us some of your lamentations, I don't know.
Lamentations?
Yeah. Jody loves your eye makeup.
I just have more white than I normally do. That's about the only difference, but thank you.
All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to share the screen here and we'll look at numbers. Oh, I got that backwards. Hold on a second. Look at numbers and get out of my way. Okay.
You going to share the screen?
I am. I'm working on it. I got things to do here, man.
Jeez.
Okay, so I feel like I'm in a holding pattern. It's like, you know what, my sales are decent. Like I have been able to maintain. I'm still up. My 30 days, 31 days on eBay is still up like 5%. So I've been consistently up and my 90 days, that number is up. But it's like, just when I think I'm like going to really nail it for the week and I have some really good sales, then it goes bad. Like eBay, I had 2, not 1. But 2 0 sales days on eBay. I had 1 day where I didn't sell anything on any platforms. So I had 23 eBay orders, 8 Etsy, 3 Poshmark, 7 on Grailed, Mercari, and Depop. So for a total of 41. So I've been able to keep that number consistently up, like higher than probably any week last year. eBay gross sales, $1,315.65. Not much different than last week. Etsy has been real mediocre for me this week. I saw you had an amazing Etsy week. $326.65.
Yet I've only sold one $40 item the whole weekend. So
yeah, Poshmark, meh, $90, and then Grailed, Mercari, Depop combined, $411.47. So I was still able to be above 2,000. Again, still better than almost every week of 2023. So I shouldn't be complaining. It's just, sometimes it gets a little frustrating. It's like you want to get moving ahead. So my total gross sales, $2,143.77. Shipping, $205.15. You can see the breakdown of fees there. Cost of goods, $110. Total net sales, $1,569.06. Gross average sale price, $52.29. So I'm happy with that. I'd like to be able to do 50 and above. Net average sale price, $38.27. But I mean, come on. I had an amazing sale that we'll be showing you later on eBay. And it was like, it gave me like a great day. And then the next day was when I had 0 sales on all 6 of my platforms. And it was so frustrating because it's like you get that big sale. And
it's
you're like,
really disheartening.
You're really like, this week is going to be awesome. Maybe I'm going to hit 2,000 on eBay. And then it's like, nope, they gave me that. And then it almost feels like you didn't even have that amazing sale because it doesn't really do anything for you overall.
It didn't give you like an extra bump.
It just keeps you from having a terrible week. And that's frustrating.
Okay, so I actually had a good week this week. Last week was not as good, so this was pretty good comparatively. I did 36 orders on eBay. That's still down. I used to do 50 to 60 a week, so that tells you that there. Obviously, my numbers are not where they were, a year and a half to 2 years ago at all. But Liz, shut up.
Liz, I'm gonna wait till I see you in person. I'm gonna remember this, and I'm gonna slap you across the face.
36 eBay orders, 14 on Etsy, 7 on Poshmark. I did 5 on Mercari and 1 on Depop for a total of 63 orders going out for the week. 1824 gross on eBay, and Etsy sales. I had a good week on Etsy. 1,035 and change on Etsy.
That's great.
324 on Poshmark. My Poshmark has been on
That
life
jumped
support.
back up a little bit.
And
last week you had $90 on Poshmark.
that's true, but it's still not good. I've done less than 1,000 a month on Poshmark for the last several months, and I used to do 3,000. So whatever.
Brag about it.
290 between Mercari and Depop, and for the total gross for the week, just under $3,500, so $3,473.80. That's a good week for me. And shipping pretty high, basically because I did a lot of international sales on Etsy. I had a huge bump in international sales for some reason, so obviously the shipping costs are higher when you're shipping international. So $322 in shipping, and then all the other breakdown of all the fees, and my cost of goods is always low, so $117 cost of goods. That's pretty good. So my total net sales, that's good. I'm happy at like 2,600 and change for the net is really good for me. I've said many times before, I really would like to be at 2,500 and higher for my net sales for the week. So that actually hit the metrics for the first time in quite a while. And then my gross average sale price between 50 and 60 is where I like to be. That's the sweet spot. I'm right there, at $55. And my net average sale price is almost $42. So not bad.
Nice. So Liz says, for the record, day 10 of my promoted listings advanced test and 0 sales from it. And I think like I said, I think we should do a show, have Liz on to talk about it once she's done with all of her testing. But one of my favorite results so far that she's had is you can actually look and see like the keywords that people use, the searches people did to see your stuff.
To get the click, which is what costs you.
Right.
Okay.
The click is what costs you. And she's finding that the keywords that they're searching with literally have nothing to do with some of her items. So it's like, as a buyer, if you imagine that, you're putting in your keywords, and you're getting results that are garbage, that are not calling Liz's stuff garbage, but that have nothing to do with what you actually typed in. And it's like, that's frustrating on both sides, and especially frustrating for Liz because you're paying for that click that had nothing to do with your stuff.
With your item.
So... dumb. Well,
weird
Liz,
to me.
I don't know though now because like I said, I'm going to be slapping you. So I don't know if I want to have you on our channel. So just saying.
So yeah, overall good week for me. I'm not complaining this week.
Yeah. But anyway, I had some really good sales, and I'm just irritated that it didn't result in better things.
Like, her Choco boots are coming up when people search for Blowfish shoes. I don't even think Blowfish still makes shoes, but I know it's an entirely different line because I've owned them before. And it's an inexpensive line. It's like Rocket Dog. Yeah. It's cheap. So that's just weird. Yeah. It's all very weird to me.
Absolutely. Okay, let's go ahead and look at our sales highlights here, starting with you, Vikki. What do you got?
This actually took a best offer of $65 on. I mean, as we've said many times, you gotta love it when a customer sends a very reasonable offer. It was $74.95 was the list price. They sent an offer for $65. It was not on sale at the time. Quite happy to accept $65. And it's just this really pretty vintage skirt that I've had just about a year now. It was from my buyout that I did a year ago from a former eBay seller friend of mine. Not former friend, she's still a friend, former seller. When she moved, I bought her inventory. And so on average, I paid $3 an item for all of that inventory and imported all of her listings into my list perfectly, which is why you see the background photos are not mine. These are not my photos originally. It made my life really easy. If you ever buy from someone like that, have them sign up for a List Perfectly account so you can import their listings. It does save you a ton of time to do that. It doesn't work in every case. They have to already have the listings online, but Adds definite added value. So $3 for that item. It's just a vintage maxi skirt. It's just a really cute skirt.
Yeah. Very cute.
Sold for $65.
Very nice. All right, my first one. Now, I've been showing you guys some of my lower price things that I've sold. Now, here's an example of flat lay, guys. Here's one of my flat lay pictures. Now, I do think I like the way the t-shirts look on the mannequin. I do, but I will say, doing the flat lay, you get a better you get to see the whole picture because it's not draped over.
It's not curved around a body.
You can see the full front of it. You can see the full back of it. I'm still working on kind of getting my lighting down. This is how anal I am. I get irritated that there's like more of a shadow right here because the lighting isn't
Jesus
perfectly
Christ.
balanced.
You can't even see the frickin' shadow. This is why she makes fun of my photos. Because they're good enough.
But anyway,
hers have to look like they came out of a magazine spread.
I think it looks fantastic. Anyway, so the reason I'm showing this is just because I'm finding, that just because you're buying something that's not vintage, this shirt's from 2021, it's used. Just because it's not vintage doesn't mean it's not worth selling, and you're not going to be able to sell it for a good amount. I think this is one that I got at the bins, and I only priced it $27.99, and it's a small shirt. Mm-hmm. I love the band The Pixies. It's really cute, and it's funny because I was actually cross-posting this, and Vicky walked in and said, "Oh, that's a really cute shirt," because of the little mushroom and stuff.
I mean, I know who the Pixies are. I'm just not a fan.
I know you do.
But that's a very cool shirt.
Yeah,
I'd wear that shirt anyway just because of the graphics. I'd be one of those posers I would have made fun of, which we can't do anymore because everybody's wearing shit they don't listen to. But, I was the person that wouldn't let my daughter wear a t-shirt unless she could name 5 songs by the band.
Yeah.
So,
and so I sold it for $27.99, but the great part is that I actually sold it to Canada. So I actually ended up making like an additional like $10 or something, plus didn't have to pay for the shipping. So I actually did really well with this shirt, paying, less than $1. But what's funny about you saying that about the band thing is when I was at the bins, I overheard these two guys. One of the guys was wearing a vintage Star Trek t-shirt. And the other guy was like, just kind of giving him a hard time. He's like, "Bro, can you even name 2 songs by Star Trek?" and I thought that was funny.
That is funny.
Yeah, the whole flat lay thing, Jen, it took, at first I wasn't sure if I'm like, I feel like this is taking longer. But then I realized once I got into the hang of it, it's like, it was definitely, it goes faster. And like I said, it feels much easier on my back and like, it's just an easier setup. So
I even did some this week of some items that I didn't send to my lister. Obviously, like I've said before, I do all of the hard goods and shoes and linens and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes I'll do...
Sorry. Excuse me.
I generally do kids' clothing and shorts and things that I only need to take a few easier photos of. I'll do those myself too. And I did some t-shirts this week. And, my lighting's terrible, so I don't actually like my photos. I'm not sure if I'll use them.
Yeah.
But I did it myself, and I like the idea of a flat lay. I just, not for what I sell primarily. I'm never going to do it for dresses. It just doesn't look good. But yeah.
And I will share like how I'm set up at some point. Just the key is just having it be like something that's elevated off the ground at an angle, because I'm certainly not going to kill myself trying to take flat lays on the floor. Okay.
What are you saying? You're old? You can't do that anymore?
I think for anybody that doesn't feel good, you can't to keep going with that. Mm-hmm. All right, you next.
This is one that I've had for quite a while. In fact, it actually sold once before and came back because it was too small for the buyer. And I think I sold it for $65 the first time, and it sold for the price you see there, the sale price. I was running an aggressive sale for a few days. I've done this now a couple of times, and I've got to be honest with you, it has not increased my sales when I do it. So even running 40% off, nobody gives a shit. So I'm just going to say it hasn't really done anything. Listing daily and sending aggressive offers actually works better for me. So it is what it is. But anyway, it sold for the prices there, $78. This was a bins buy. I've had it for quite a while. I always pick up the Japanese and the Chinese gowns and things. And this one was really pretty. It was a thicker one, but it definitely had some issues, as you can see in the photos.
Yeah, very nice. Brett, you shut your mouth. No, I know it does kind of look like the flat lay does kind of look like the fake on-demand shirts that are out there, but I'm just trying to find faster ways to do things that aren't painful. Because now that I'm doing things the way that I have been with listing 10 a day, I've had to I'm increasing how much stuff that I'm sourcing and photographing, and it's like whatever I can do to make it easier on me, I'm gonna do it. All right, I got this Izod cardigan sweater. This is like an old one from the 60s. Now, I will say one of the things I've had to do is with the way I'm doing things now is I'm really having to adjust to selling things for cheaper prices. You can see I have this priced at 140. I mean, it's not happening. I mean, maybe like if I let it sit around for a year or two, eventually I might get more for it. But I ended up sending out like super aggressive offers. And that's kind of what I'm doing. Like some stuff I'm pricing higher, but I'm still, if it doesn't go quickly, then I'm going to send an aggressive offer. And I've had this for a number of months now. And so I sent an offer for $50. I got this at the bins. I mean, I can't sit around and wait 500 years. I need to make some money.
We used
when
to
I
always
paid
say,
$1 for it.
We used to always say, don't race to the bottom with pricing, and I still feel like that's a valid argument if you're selling something that can be comped elsewhere. Put yourself somewhere near the middle or closer to high of the comped prices. But when you're selling vintage items where your item is very often the only one in that color, that size, that style, that design, just get rid of it.
If they're not buying it, they're not buying it.
Yeah,
so...
it's and right now we all know that the sales are not where they were. So I am much less precious about it. I am trying to make a profit. I'm trying to make at least 2 to 3 times what I paid for something. We all know my average purchase price on items is under $2. Then I have to add in my $3 to $4 per item for my listers and cross posters. So, I'm $6 on an item before it sells, before fees. So there's no way I'm selling anything for less than $20. So
I paid $2 for this.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna sell it for 50. Now I did have it priced higher than like my other stuff because like this color, and that's accurate.
Oh, that's it. Yeah,
color.
It's like an apricot.
It's like this kind of salmon, like it's not quite pink, not quite orange.
Apricot.
Yes, and it's just like, and you just don't see this color. So I really thought it was unique, but apparently it's not unique enough that somebody out there wanted to pay up for it. So $50 is going to be good enough.
Well, B. Altman is usually good too. Okay, so I got this when we were on our last trip to Colorado back in November with all of our friends where we had the Airbnb. We did a sourcing trip. So I did pay for this. I got this at the bins. It is a little bit on the heavy side. I probably paid $10, and then of course I shipped everything home. In fact, I think this might have been one of the things I don't know if this was in a box or if I packed stuff in it to bring home. Anyway, whatever. It sold for the price you see there, $97 and change. I did charge $15 shipping. This is one of those items. It does have a hard pull on it. So I can't exactly fold it because it has a hard shell on it. So I think it's going to get shipped in, wrap it in bubble a little bit, make sure that none of the zippers poke through. I haven't shipped it yet. It sold yesterday. And a couple large poly mailers, and off it goes.
Yep. Sounds good. All right. Next up for me, I love this shirt. You guys know how I feel about my vintage tech stuff.
Vintage geek tech.
This is one that I bought from 99.9% positive. I got this my last batch from Jen Goodell. And I really love this one. It's really cute. And I did see comps out there and stuff that sold for cheaper. But I felt pretty confident about this particular one. So I priced it up. But like I always say, I have my price points, and then when I do my offers, I generally go for my lowest I'll go for. So I sold it for 55. So and it sold. I only had this listed. I actually listed this at the airport on our way home from Washington. I listed this one. And so that means it sold within the last week. It sold within a couple of days of me listing it for $55. So I was pretty happy about it. But look how cute he is. Look at that little Netscape Mozilla.
Okay.
Whatever.
Mozilla?
Mozilla. That was his name.
Well, then Mozilla became a
browser.
A browser. Okay. This was a bins find. As I said, I do like all of the Asian kimonos and smoking jackets and gowns and robes. I sell every single one, guys. So if you're not picking these up, you should be. Or don't, I guess. I'll keep them all for myself. I couldn't care less.
Yeah.
But they always sell. And you can tell the ones that are new and cheap versus the ones that were made earlier. So they're vintage. They're made nicer. They're made better. I did not put a decade on this one because I wasn't entirely sure of the decade. It's not super old, but I would say it's probably 90s-ish. 90s Y2K. It's not super old, but it is also not new. But this I've only had for a couple of months, and it sold for $97. And plus shipping, actually. I think this may have gone to Germany on Etsy. Oh, no, that sold on eBay. Sorry. That was a different one I'm thinking of. Actually, I think this did go international. But anyway, it was plus shipping. So
Cool story, bro.
shut up. I got distracted. Anyway, so it sold for $97. It is a bins buy. I probably paid $2 to $3.
Nice.
So,
All right. Next up for me is the sweatshirt Vienna, Austria.
ooh,
I like my destination stuff. I think it's cool. It sells pretty well for me. I don't know. I would probably wouldn't price this quite here now because like I said, I've been going lower with my prices. So I probably would have just listed this for 50. But I got the full price, $69.99. It's just this nice embroidered sweatshirt, Vienna, Austria. I don't know. I feel like I don't get excited by destination stuff, but I always pick it up if it looks cool.
They
if it looks
always
decent.
sell.
They just sell. They do. They for whatever
People
reason.
like them.
Yeah.
You know what it is? If you go to a tour, here's the thing. If you're anything like me, every single solitary time I go on vacation, I end up buying a sweatshirt because I'm cold. It's not
Yep.
because I want a souvenir sweatshirt that
It's
I've
true.
paid $50 for at an airport or some other stupid spot, because that happens every time, including when we were in
But
Seattle.
it was $20. I was like, "What's wrong?" Because it was a Seattle sweatshirt, but it was kind of designed like a jersey,
Yeah.
like a hockey jersey almost.
But it was
a
freezing.
sweatshirt material.
So for whatever reason, Seattle airport was
$20.
freezing last week when we were coming home, and it was only $20, so I bought it. But it ran small. I bought an extra large because I like baggy, and it was not baggy at all. And I'm not oblivious to
It did
own,
the trick.
to my own size. But in any case, I was freezing. I'm always cold, so clearly I'm I don't know, old lady anemic or something. But anyway, I have so many of these sweatshirts that I pick up at all these different places, and then now they remind me of where I've been. So I'm not gonna sell them, but I have a lot of them too.
Yeah, true. All right.
This one actually sold pretty quickly. I'm not gonna lie. I stole that top photo from a sold listing. Hey, what the hell?
What?
Nobody owns their photos, guys.
And also, who cares?
And who cares? But I sold it. I stole it from a sold listing. This I actually showed in a haul video. I did pick this up at the bins, so I paid. It's very lightweight cashmere blend. I paid probably $2 for it. This is a brand that you want to pick up when you find it. But my photographer had taken the photos like this, and this is my example of that was not a very good photo for a flat lay. I'm not throwing shade. She's getting better. She's learning. It is what it is. But it didn't look nice. So that was why I stole that photo instead of taking a new photo myself.
Yeah.
And it sold fairly quickly. I've had it listed for less than 2 weeks.
Very nice. Very nice.
Sold for $100.
All right, guys. Here comes my big sale. Look what I sold. Bow, 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 bow. Wow, 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 wow. So I sold my Gucci t-shirt, and I was very excited because I had sent my lowest offer I had sent out was $225. I had gotten multiple offers for $200. The thing is that when I got those offers for $200, it said that they were from promoted listings. So I really didn't want to spend, give up an extra 8% at $200. I would have done it for $225. So when the sale came through for $300, that full amount, $299.59, I was very excited. It was funny because I was irritated that it did come from a promoted listing. So it cost me like an extra $24, and I was irritated even though I'd gotten the full amount. It still made me mad. But whatever. I did send it to its authenticity guarantee, so I did have to send it to an authenticator. We'll see how it goes. If you remember when I shared this, when I listed it on Grail, they authenticated it and said it was authentic. So we will see how it goes going to the eBay authentication place. But hopefully all is well.
Which is hit or miss, I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, Vicky's had shoes that were definitely authentic that they said weren't. So I do not fully trust that they are the experts they're supposed to be, but hopefully all goes well and this makes it to my buyer. But guys, I got this at the bins. I paid like $1. Come on. I paid $1 and made $300. And then, so that day I had like $450 in sales on eBay. And then the next day, zero.
Oh, show the
and
tags.
I was so mad.
Jen asked that you show the tags.
Here is the tag, main tag at the back, and here's the top tag of the inside.
So hi Noelle, by the way. Hey in the chat. Got a lot of people in the chat today.
Yeah.
Britton says it's pronounced apricot.
No, he said it's pronounced apricot.
Oh.
Can't you read? That's why I shared it. Okay, anyway, guys, I was very, very excited about selling my Gucci t-shirt that I got at the bins for $1. So it better not come back to me or I'll be mad.
This is a bins find, and this is an example of ending and selling similar, but changing the photo and changing the price and changing the title around a little bit. So I've had this listed for probably 6 or 8 months now, and this was a bins find that I paid $3 to $4 for because it does weigh over a pound, and it was this beautiful 80s gown. It's actually dead stock, but the zipper's broken. Now I could have paid to have the zipper replaced, but why? It wasn't really going to add a ton of value to it, and it would have cost me $20 plus.
Was this your main photo before?
So, yep, that was the main photo before, and now it's the full photo. I might have cropped one. I don't really know. But in any case, it actually sold under best offer, $115.
Wow.
It was listed for $129.95. They asked me, they offered $115. I don't know who these people are, but I like them. So come back come back and buy more shit.
Yeah. Please.
Because I will happily give you $15 off. It wasn't even, that's not even 10% off they asked for. Anyway.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, I was happy with it.
All right. Next up for me is this spring break.
Is that Carlos and Charlie's?
I don't know. But so it's funny because I sold this for full price actually. I forgot to do another sale in my Etsy store for like
that's your full price $43.19.
No, hold on a second.
Oh,
I'm trying. The reason I'm saying something is because it's not showing as the full price. It does this weird thing where you have a current sale. Even your stuff that's sold, it'll say it at a sale price. So no, I sold it for $47.99. So that's not the accurate amount I sold it for, but. $47.99. I haven't listed anything for $47.99 in my Etsy store forever. It's actually $48.99 is my price point. So I know I've had this one for a while. Time. And now if I listed this t-shirt, I would still pick this up, but I would probably list this for $35 now. So I was, happy to sell it for that price. Again, right. Another little destination, little tropical getaway t-shirt. So happy to get rid of it.
Okay, so this is a brand that I normally would not pick up. I pick up a couple of their heavy knit sweaters here and there, but this came in a large bulk buy that I had purchased from someone in a group. I'm not even sure what group it was. It wasn't our group, but it was a different
Quacker
group.
Factory.
And Quacker, it's your QVC brand, Quacker Factory. However, what I did like about this is that it was like kind of like a sweater, like a denim shirt jacket type thing with a full zip. It's lightweight and it has sunflowers on it.
And it's bedazzled.
It's bedazzled and it has sunflowers. Sunflowers and bees. First of all, bees and sunflowers are kind of popular again. Yeah. But the sunflowers were such a huge thing in the 90s. This is very much a 90s jacket. The only reason I wanted to show you it was not that it sold for $52. I paid like $2, $3 for it. It sold for $52, but somebody from like Australia purchased it.
That's funny.
And they paid $30 for shipping, and it cost me $14 for shipping.
They wanted it.
So, yeah. I mean, $30 for shipping. So they paid like quite a bit for this item, and I'm happy to sell a $2 or $3 item for, I got an extra $15 from the shipping. I made a profit of an extra $15. So $65. Yep. For Quacker Factory. So some Quacker Factory does sell. It has to be a good design. It's not selling on the name.
Yeah.
It is selling on the aesthetic of the item.
Right.
Some of their big chunky sweaters, like they have flamingo sweaters or like these big sweaters that have palm trees on them or something like that. Pick those up if you can get them cheap enough. You're going to sell it on the fabric and on the content, not on the brand.
Gotcha. All right, next up for me is this Kathy Donna Hey artist t-shirt.
Kathy Donna Hey.
You like that? Kathy Donna Hey. So I really like selling like kind of like crop top t-shirts. I mean, I'm assuming I call it crop. How short is it? 24 and a half. Well, 24 and a half, but it's an extra large. So that's a pretty short.
It'd be wide but short.
It's boxy. It's a boxy tee. Mm-hmm. But I love these art tees, and I really haven't had this one for a super long time. I mean, I've had it definitely since I guess it's been at least like 4 or 5 months because I've completely changed how I do my titles. But I love art tees and sold it for $44.09. I don't remember where I got this. Probably the bins, maybe the bins. I don't remember.
You couldn't have paid more than $5 for it.
Yeah, exactly.
This may be the oldest thing I have in my store. So I grabbed this for a couple of reasons. I have quite literally had this listed for 4 or 5 years. They are nowhere near from 1978. So this just tells you I didn't even, like, the copyright from Polo Ralph Lauren is probably 1978. Are they worth what they sold for? Yes. However, my title is a crock of shit. They were probably a free giveaway with a fragrance purchase. Now that I'm looking at this now, we learn things,
Does it have a
right?
date on it? Oh, you were like, I see, you saw the date on there.
Yeah, it was Polo Player Design, copyright 1978. But hello, it has a freaking barcode.
That's
it's not
funny.
from 1978. They're probably from the 90s, and it was probably a giveaway with Polo Cologne. Now, they are new in the box. I distinctly remember the estate
They're terrible
sale.
mugs.
They're ugly.
They're
They're so ugly. I distinctly remember the estate sale that I bought these from, and I paid $5. So whatever. But turning $5 into $60 plus shipping is not a bad deal. However, it is a horrible deal if you've had them for 5 freaking years. So, go through your old listings once in a while. Don't just hit end and sell similar. Actually change your title. Figure out that what you've done wrong. Look into some stuff, because clearly this was not a good listing, and I may have sold them sooner had I had appropriate words in the listing.
Don't be a moron like Vicky.
Don't be a dumbass.
It's always funny when you see like a really old list of yours and you're like, what was I thinking?
What was I thinking?
And the way your title is, everything.
Everything
like,
about it is terrible.
What? Anyway. All right. Next up for me, this Wimbledon. Now, this one is another one. It actually did not sell on sale. It was actually $69.99. So again, I sold it when the sale was no longer going. So I actually made more than that. I think I got this one I think I got this at the bins, but I'm not entirely sure. It's Wimbledon 2002. So this seems like, pretty boring. I haven't had this for a crazy long time. I listed it within the last like 5 months or so.
That is very boring.
Yeah, it's just got the little tiny embroidered, or
a little chest hit. One little chest hit.
Just a screen print. And I sold it for $70. Now, again, I would not price it this high anymore. I'm happy to have to have made $70 on this, but I would probably list this at $50 now. So I really am having to work on how I price things, and hopefully that's going to help me get some better sales. Was there something you wanted to address in the chat?
No.
You were giving me like a little signal.
No, I wasn't.
Oh, then you were just doing
hands were crossed.
Weird shit with your hands. They weren't before. It was like a minute ago. Anyway, why are you trying to copy me? Why are you trying to Gucci me?
Okay, so here's my Fucci that I sold. Now, this is going to be one of those things. We've talked about this before. Do not list bootlegs on eBay. Do not list them on eBay. However, vintage bootlegs, especially Gucci, and some of the other boots that came from the 80s and 90s and streetwear brands are highly desirable, especially on Etsy. And Etsy does allow for them, and I do also believe that Gucci is kind of turns a blind eye because they have to know. If anybody's ever watched Slobby Robbie and stuff like that, that's a good portion of the type of stuff that you would see him selling would be like the bootleg stuff, the vintage stuff, but you cannot sell them on eBay. So let me reiterate this. Do not sell bootlegs on eBay. And I wouldn't sell it in handbags or anything like that. However, this is Y2K, probably early Y2K, early to mid Y2K, vintage Fucci. So I threw it on Etsy knowing it would sell. I got this at the bins. I had it listed for maybe 2 weeks. And it sold for my sale price. You see there, $97.46. I paid about $2 for it. And I only had it on Etsy. I did not list it anywhere else.
I would like to have an explicit disclaimer just for people to know. Anytime you are trying to sell something like this that is not actually made by Gucci, whether it's bootleg or counterfeit or whatever it is, you're doing so at your own risk. So just know that before you decide that. But, sometimes you do stuff that, probably could get you into some trouble. But, yeah, Gucci generally doesn't. Lori, I'm actually going through, and part of what I'm doing, I list my stuff every day, but I'm also going through and ending old stuff like what Vicky did with the one that she was showing earlier. And changing my main photo and completely change the title, and then also repricing. And I have sold several things by doing that. So it's just a process. I'm still like a year behind. So I got a lot of stuff to go through and do like that. But that's good because then it comes out like a brand new, fresh listing. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Well, yeah, Liz, it's like, I just like to say, Vicky will always be like, they know. But I'm like, I like to be explicit about it because I don't want anyone to ever think like, oh, well, Katie and Vicky told me to do it. And now my store just got shut down and whatever. I just want people to know, like, you need to go in with your eyes open and know that you are taking a potential risk.
You are taking a potential risk, but you also need to know where the risk is worse or where it is not that big of a risk.
Yeah.
Like Etsy doesn't shut your store down.
Hopefully.
Etsy may do that if you're selling all the bootleg handbags from Chinatown. That's not cool. Those are counterfeits. They're sold as new. People are trying to dupe them.
Yeah.
This is not a dupe. I didn't put dupe in the title. I didn't put counterfeit. I didn't put in the style of. I didn't put any of that crap because that's the surefire way that you will get stuff pulled.
You're being transparent about it.
Don't do it with Chanel. Don't do it with Louis Vuitton. Don't do it with. There are certain brands that you do not want to take that type of risk with. Gucci, as we know and as I've said, they do. There is a market for that on certain shirts and jerseys and things like that. Yeah. So
Casey's gonna do an expose on you.
Yeah, he may. But I put right in the title that it's a bootleg. I put it in the description, so I know my buyer knew what they were getting.
Yep, absolutely. All right, next up for me, I sold this Ben Davis shirt. And now, if you remember, like about a month or so ago, I bought a lot off of eBay. I paid like $20 plus shipping. It ended up being a total of like $30, and I got like 6 or 8 pieces, if not more. And I've already sold a couple of them, so I've already made my money back. And this particular shirt, the zipper was actually broken. Oh, get out of there. The zipper was actually broken. It had come apart right down here. And I think that's part of why it was in this lot for so cheap. And but I was actually able to, like, by pulling the zipper all the way down, I was able to get it reattached. So now it's totally fine. And so I sold it for $45. I took an offer for $45 and it went to New Zealand, which I love. I love that, like, I found this thing online, I fixed it, and now some dude in New Zealand is going to be wearing it, like, on the other side of the world, and all because I was able to get my hands on it and fix it. So,
well, it's like one of my favorite things on Etsy is when they send you the photo. I know they think they added it to eBay too, but God, I don't want the photos that our eBay buyers are going to send. I got to be honest. But I love that you can add a photo on Etsy of your purchase, and I think people that use Etsy frequently and like to do that type of thing, like, I love getting feedback. Hey, I styled it this way. This is how I'm wearing this.
Me too.
Thanks for this piece. It's awesome. Or whatever. I love to see that stuff because the whole point of selling vintage is not just to make money, although that's clearly what we do this for, but I like rescuing stuff from the landfill. I like giving something a new life that has lived many decades already, and who knows how many parties they've gone to. Maybe this lady that wore this dress in 1965 wore it out one night with her friends and met her future husband, and now they've got grandkids. Like, yeah. And now someone else is going to enjoy that dress on the other side of the world. I mean, that's the kind of thing that goes through my head, which is why I love selling it. So. Well,
you know, speaking of that, I should have shown this, but speaking of that, I got a feedback on Etsy. It's just a shirt I sold for $30. And it's a Rhythm and Brews Cigar Festival t-shirt, and this guy was very happy with it, and he sent a picture of himself wearing it, and if you look closely you can see he's actually smoking a cigar. So he put it on, lit up his cigar, and had somebody take a picture of him because he thought he looked that cool. I think he looks pretty cool myself. And he's wearing the t-shirt that I sold him. So I love getting this kind of feedback. It makes me very happy.
Yeah, it's just one of my favorite things about the feedback on Etsy. They don't all do it. I probably only have 10 overall that have done it, but I love it.
Yep, me too. Okay, so let's go back to you. What's your last one?
This was another international sale. So this is another one. They paid $40 for shipping on this. It did not cost $40 to ship. It cost me about $25 to ship. It was between 3 and 4 pounds. This is a vintage Bugle Boy denim jacket. Again, nothing, spectacular about it, but I've had this long enough that you can tell there's no background remover moved. No background remover was used on it.
Yeah.
So I've had this for at least 2 years.
Very nice.
And I know it was a bins buy. So
we're missing like a good 30 people. Are that many people like completely thrown off by the time change? I think that's kind of funny.
I know. We usually have about 115,
120.
125 people watching.
I guess the time just throws everybody off. Anything else on this one?
No, that's it.
Okay, my last one. So here's my tale of woe, guys. So first of all, great sale. Laura in the chat, my 80 baby, you will be very happy to know I got this. This is something I actually got on Whatnot. I bought this and another pair of pants. My cost for this was like, I think it ended up being like $20. But they're dead stock, wide leg, baggy cords, 90s cords. But look how freaking awesome these are. And they're dead stock. The tags are on there and everything. I got tons of like super lowball offers, but it ended up going for my full price. I have them listed $200 everywhere, but like on Grailed and Mercari both, I have them so that it does the gradual step down in price. So it had dropped down to $149. So I sold them for $150. Was very happy about that. So here I am, feeling real good about having sold something for $150 on Grailed. And then like a day after I sold these, I got an email that a case had been opened against me on PayPal. Not for these, mind you, but a case had been opened. It was somebody in Europe had bought like a sweatshirt from me, which they bought it for $50, and then they paid for shipping. And they opened a thing saying that they hadn't received it, but when you looked at the tracking, they had refused the package, and then they didn't go pick it up for whatever reason. And PayPal, Vicky was telling me that like they don't even send back your stuff if it gets refused now.
International stuff has not been coming back. It was something they were doing for a bit post COVID, and then really since like 2021,
Yeah.
I don't think things.
This
have
is
been
from like
coming
back in January. Like I sold it in November, and anyway, and it's just so irritating because I only got paid $50 for it plus shipping. Somehow the hold on my account, they took $89 out because it's like they're taking out like the fees I had paid, everything that I had paid, not just the amount that I actually got is taken from my account. So I'm like negative $89. And I mean, from the research I've done, it sounds like PayPal doesn't care if it was refused. So I probably am going to be screwed as far as PayPal goes. Apparently that's totally fine to refuse a package. Then I'm just out my item and my money. But from what I can tell, it looks like Grailed might back me up on this. It's just a matter of how long it's going to take. So here I am. I got a $150 sale, and then I got like $90 taken out of my account. So it just sucks because it's like,
well, you had a battle for it, and
Right.
that shouldn't be the way it is. I hear that Kenai is mad. Tell Kenai that Auntie Vicky said she needs 5 more minutes.
yeah. You know, Grailed has been pretty good in the past when it comes to customer service. So, you know, and the thing is, I have 5.0 rating on there, 5-star rating on there. I have over 240 reviews, all positive. So my track
I think
record.
I saw your review. You have 600 reviews.
No,
on Grailed.
no,
Okay.
no. Here, I will. Well, let me pull this over here.
Oh, 613 transactions.
Yeah, I have 613 transactions, 241 reviews with 5-star rating. So I'm hoping that it'll be good. I noticed when I went and looked at the thing, the person had only had one transaction they'd ever done, and it was the one with me. So I don't know if they weren't scamming me because I think they refused the package. So
maybe they
it's not
didn't.
like
Maybe they. I mean, does Grailed collect that?
Yeah, because I had to put in the number. I had to put in
Okay.
the IOSS number, whatever it is.
Yeah, so that's weird then.
I don't know.
Anyway, so Liz says she pointed to the screen and said, Auntie Vicky is showing us how to sell illegal shit on the internet. Stop, ruining my name with my niece, my dog niece, okay?
Uh-huh. Anyway, so that's it for this week. I don't know. I feel like I said, I'm still improving, but it's such a slow incremental rate that and I've been doing the daily listing on eBay since November 12th. So I have not missed a single day, 7 days a week. I have not missed a single day.
I've missed one.
And
one day.
Actually, I think you missed 2.
Since the end of October.
And so it's just like, I want to see more. But I just have to keep reminding myself, it is working. My store is still up. I'm still up for my 31 days. I'm still up on my 90 days. So I am doing well. It's just, I want it to happen faster, man. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm going to keep going.
So Susie has a suggestion on how to market men's Dickies jeans. Bibs. Okay.
Bibs.
Bib overalls.
To women.
So I would put that, if they're vintage, I would put vintage, whatever the decade is, 90s or Y2K, wide leg, straight leg, denim jean overalls. I tend to put baggy, boho, Those are the type of words that I would put in the title if you want to list them under women's, and I probably would. And then I would convert the sizing to small, medium, large, extra large in women's sizing, and just put these are men's in the description. Put these are men's overalls. However, they're kind of unisex. I mean, overalls are pretty unisex anyway.
Yeah.
The fact that they're wide, if they're wide leg or straight leg, which they are if they're men's in general, I would do that. That's just my experience, and then you can list them for much higher because they're going to sell to a woman. Boyfriend fit, that's a good idea too. I wouldn't maybe put that in the title. There are better words to put in the title, but I would definitely put that as part of the description too.
Yeah. Alexis says, "Don't stop believing." For me. Thank you. I mean, yeah, like I said, my sales are still up, and I'm doing if I look at like my weekly numbers last year, I mean, I'm definitely doing better than I was ever last year. So it's just going to be a matter of time. And
I am not. I'm still down. But
I know. But part of it is, and I'm bugging her about it, and I know Lorna was giving her a hard time about it. She needs to do what?
I need to source and list more hard goods in
Yes.
I have not been paying enough attention to the hard goods because I've been drowning in a couple of really big purchases that I've made in with all the soft goods. Now I don't process the majority of those, but right now I have over 100 listings in my draft bank, so I'm pulling them 10 to 15 a day, but I'm not getting as much done in the hard goods, and that's my.
And anytime you list a bunch of hard goods, you do see more sales.
No, you're right.
It's just true.
There's some theories to be said that niching down into a specific niche works well for a lot of people, and I'm not going to deny that. Look at Alexis; it works well for Alexis. It works well for a lot of people in tech and sports as a group. However, for me, because I sell vintage and because my vintage clothing is by nature long tail, a lot of it, something that helps mix it up for me is having a good mixture of vintage clothing and hard goods. So I do need to have more. I mean, I would say that I can't even say I'm a niche market. I'm really not, because it's too many categories to be considered niche. However, there's an overall aesthetic, that my stuff has. So I do need to make sure that I add to various categories because I do always do better when I do that. So that's part of it. That's on me. I need to spend a little bit of time sourcing myself, which I haven't been doing in person as much because I've been buying such large purchases that I'm like, okay, I just spent, $1,000 on X number of pieces. I'm not going to go to the bins and spend $100 and waste half a day when I already have so much.
But I've been going, so I've been making myself go like twice a week, even if I have stuff. And, just being there for like an hour and a half. And I told her, I'm like, just come with me on those days. Come with me on those days and just look at hard goods. Because you're always going to grab a couple of things.
No, it's true. It's true.
So I'm just going to bug her because I think part of it is like, you've been in a funk, and because you're in a funk, you have all the stuff that you've already sourced, this clothing, and you have somebody that's taking the pictures and doing the stuff for you. So you kind of can, when you're having those funky days, there's been a lot of them where you can kind of do the bare minimum and you feel like you're still kind of hitting your goals, but then you're not going beyond that. And I think a lot of that has to do with the hard goods and stuff. And hopefully that's going to like bust you out and you can start seeing some more sales.
Yeah. See, Michelle and I sell almost exactly the same type of things, although I know that you sell more glassware and things like that I don't mess with. But in general, we sell a lot of the same things. And, it's not that there's any lack of stuff out there, right? There isn't. There's plenty of stuff. Yeah. So I do need to just get my butt in gear and do more. I have listed a bit more this week than I normally do. So
it's really hard to get out of when you're in a rut mentally. It's hard to get out of it.
Yeah.
It's really hard. I know that.
Yeah. Well, and we've talked about this before. I'm pretty open with the fact that I have chronic PTSD and I struggle with a lot of anxiety and depression and a touch of ADD too. So, you combine that cocktail of crazy that is inside my head, and some days it's all I can do is to get those 10 to 15 listings up, and sometimes it's 10 to 15 that I have redone that were already in my store, and sometimes it's from my drafts that my lister has done, and usually it's a combination. I like to do 10 to 15 each, like 15 completely brand new fresh listings and then 15 that are restructured or reworked. That's my goal. And then if I'm having a really good day, I'll throw in another 10 that I've listed myself that are, hard goods or something.
Right.
I can list hard goods. I can create a listing from scratch in a minute on almost anything. So
right.
I just need to focus on doing that more consistently and on, my 7 days a week. So See, clothing is easier to list and ship for you, actually. Clothing is easy to ship. It is not easy to photograph and list, as
For
far
you.
as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I think clothing and is much more difficult to photograph and list than hard goods.
See, and I am the exact opposite. And it was funny because, yeah,
And hard goods don't get returned. Michelle
the
is
day
correct.
before yesterday, Vicky was having one of her like little kind of a hiccup where she was just feeling like super overwhelmed because her tendency is like she thinks about all the things that needs to be done and all the challenges and everything that could be done over days, and she piles it all up at once to where she becomes completely overwhelmed. Whereas, and so when
And
that
then when
happens,
you're completely overwhelmed, you shut down.
right, you can't do anything.
For those of you that understand that your brain can black and white rationalize anything in a list, right? But when you're in the moment and you're feeling overwhelmed and you start spiraling, it all becomes too much, and then you're just like, okay, fuck it. Then I'm not doing anything.
Yeah. Whereas I'm really good at compartmentalizing and also procrastinating. So if I can mentally set something for another day, I'm not going to worry about it. That can be good and bad. So I'm not in any way saying that I have a better way of handling things, because believe me, procrastination, that's can be terrible. But it was just kind of not funny in the moment, but funny in general was when Vicky, like, she had taken pictures of some t-shirts that she'd gotten. And she was like, I don't even know how to list t-shirts anymore. I don't even know how. I haven't done it in years. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure you can figure it out. But that was like where her brain went, was that she is no longer capable of listing t-shirts because she hasn't done it in so long. And I'm like, I think you could probably do it. I believe in you. So
see, Alexis also has ADD, and I'm not gonna I don't think I'm throwing her under the bus by saying this, but it's when your brain gets into that spiral, overwhelming. I can't do this, I can't do that. It's very hard to talk yourself out of that. Now, if someone else were saying this to me and presenting this to me, and I was helping them walk through it or talk through it, I'm totally fine knowing what to do and what to say and how to manage and how to take things and bite things in chunks and da-da-da-da-da. It doesn't work that way when you're applying it to yourself. Only when you're outside of those moments do you understand, oh my God, I was being a nutbag for no reason.
Well,
but
also,
it takes being removed from that, because when you're in the midst of it, your brain just does what it does.
yeah. And with like the PTSD and stuff like that, when she's overwhelmed or frustrated or any of those emotional things happen, her thinking processes, her thought process and everything, it's like out the window. It's really hard for her to like focus on what's happening in the moment and have a rational thought about it. And that makes it really difficult. But then it's like 20 minutes later, she's totally fine. It's just in that moment.
And Alexis, I think you're right. I mean, like she says right here, and we won't keep you guys too much longer, but she said, I'm afraid one day my brain might tell me to quit eBay. So that's the other thing too. When you're in that overwhelmed spiraling process, it is very, very easy to also flip the switch to anger, at least for me. I'm only speaking for myself here, but I know enough of my friends that deal with a lot of the same emotions, feel the same way. Flipping the switch to anger is very easy for me to be like, okay, then now F it. F you, F everything, F it all, I'm out. Right. And burn the shit down, because that is exactly where my brain gets to.
Yeah.
So that 0 to crazy is not a long,
it's not a far journey.
It's not a far journey. So it's very easy for me to be like, yeah, same thing. I've said, I don't know how many times, oh my God, I'm just gonna, quit. I'm gonna quit. I can't do this anymore. I'm gonna get a 9-to-5 job that I don't have to use a brain for and get a weekly paycheck and F it all. Throw all my shit out. I'm gonna go throw it on the front lawn. I'm gonna, we all have had those moments, I think, but maybe some of us with crazy brain have had it more often than others. So
yeah.
Best Life, we actually have both changed our business models quite a bit over the last year or two. We talk about it frequently, what we've done and how we're changing it. We've made
over the last 5-6 months.
Yeah, we've both made some big changes in how we do things.
Yeah, very big changes.
But I've been selling for 25 plus years, and I have changed my business model, what I sell and how I do it many times over those years. You have to evolve with the markets and the way that the markets evolve if you want to be a successful seller.
And to be honest, when you have been selling for a really long time and you have all this experience behind you and you've been super successful, it can be much harder, and you can be much more resistant to changing your model. I know for us that's definitely true. which is why last year we had both of us. We each have different businesses, separate businesses, but both of us last year was our absolute worst year of sales in years. You know, for me it was like up, 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 and I crashed and burned last year. And that was the wake up call it took to be like, I have to make big changes, not just the small changes I've been making. I had to make big changes, and so far it has been working for me. I'd like it to work a little faster, but so far it is working for me. So I do feel proud that I was willing to make those changes, even if it took me a little bit too long. Sometimes it's real hard to react.
I'm a little bit up from where I was last year. I'm not back where I was in 2021 or 2020 or even early 2022, but that has very little to do with me and a lot to do with what has changed in the market in general. I think I'm not going to be changing what I sell, and I'm not going to be changing how I sell it necessarily. I am changing as far as my methods and the cross-posting and making sure I'm visible on multiple platforms and being able to turn my items faster for lower prices than I would normally do without ruining the vintage market, if that makes sense. But I'm never going to be someone that's going to be buying pallets or selling shit at a 5% profit margin, because the minute that happens, I will leave a $200,000 a year's income, which is what this is for me. I will leave that and go back to the mortgage banking business or go back into the nonprofit sector and take my experience that I used for years before that and work 9 to 5 and make the same amount of money. So I have zero desire to be an Amazon seller or to be a multi-quantity seller or to be a person that sells commodities or replenishables, because that is not interesting at all to me. So if I were to make that type of change, because I do realize and recognize that that is where the larger money is, but if I were to make that change, I would not want to do this business anymore. Yeah. So I would leave the business entirely and go back to what my experience is in outside of reselling. I have experience and education go to do other things. This is just, I like to do this. And I recognize that making $200,000 a year and then Katie's another 100 and change a year, that's a very good gross income for any couple. We just happen to have a fairly high cost of living where we are. Yeah.
Best life, how long to ride the downturn before going a different way?
That's what I was just answering, honey.
Well, but I was going to say, clearly we can't give a good answer to that because we're not good at it. Like I said, no, I'm serious. Like it took us having, at least for me, an entire year of terrible sales. And if you guys watch us with any regularity, listening to us bitch for week after week after week after week about how bad our sales are, nobody can accuse us of inflating our numbers, because if you go back enough years, you'll see once upon a time we used to do a lot better. So clearly we ride that downturn way too long before we make the turn. It's like, it's like a new seller is like driving around in a little smart car. And we're like the seasoned sellers who are driving gigantic freaking 3-trailer, tractor trailer trucks. It takes a lot for us to make that turn.
Okay, so best life. Okay, so you say you're new to it all. That's the key answer right there, being new to it all. There are many different ways to be a reseller, and there are many different ways to do it well. There are plenty of people that are very successful that are selling specific brands. They work on a quantity method. They work on quantity, lower profit margins, higher sell-through rate, higher quantity listed. I'm never going to be listing 50 items a day or 100 items a day or 200 items a day. There's nothing wrong with that model. It is just not the model I want. Right. Because I have built this business in the way that I want to do it so that I still enjoy it, what I do. The minute it becomes something that's a job to me, or I'm working 10 hours a day, I'm not going to do it. I can very easily make $200,000 a year in a salary working for someone else 9 to 5 and leaving that shit behind at 5 o'clock than I would do if I were, working 10 hours a day, hustling, trying to sell, $50, $20 items, if that makes sense. Yeah. I think everybody's a little bit different. You have to find the method that works for you. You may be that person that wants to buy pallets of household goods, whatever they may be, and make $1 profit an item on every single item, but ship them into Amazon and sell them by the dozens. There's nothing wrong with that model. It is just not the model that I prefer.
Yeah.
That's, you know what I mean? I hope that makes sense. I'm not denigrating the way anyone else does business. You do
But
you.
the thing is, for years, all I would say was, I'd rather only ship out a few things for high prices. I'm all about working smarter, not harder. I'm about low volume, high prices instead of high volume. And guess what? That worked great for a while. And then as the markets changed, now I'm having to change my thinking, and I'm having to price lower and do higher volume. I don't ever want to do like super low prices, high volume in order to make the same amount of money. But I did have to change my thinking. I did have to change my perspective and see that things were not always going to stay the way that they used to be. I used to be so proud of myself for selling stuff for, $100 that somebody else could only sell for 40. It's like, okay, well, that's great but not if it takes me months to do it and I got a bunch of crap sitting around that's not selling.
It also has become less of a sustainable business model. As we all know, everything has changed. So markets fluctuate no matter what you're selling. You could be selling work boots, or you could be selling linens, or you could be selling, I don't know, kitchen colanders. Doesn't matter. Markets are going to change where there is an ebb and flow in what it is that you're selling. So the best thing to do is be on top of these markets. Make vintage clothing is always going to sell, always. What vintage and what decade and what type of styles are hot is something you need to pay attention to. If that's what you're going to sell, you need to understand the market and know what's selling. And we've said this many times. Right now, Y2K and 90s clothing is super hot. That's what's selling. It's selling on Macari. It's selling on Depop. It's selling on Poshmark. It's selling on Etsy. It is selling on eBay, although it is selling better on those other platforms because that is where the younger people are shopping, and that is what people are buying. Younger people are not shopping on eBay.
True.
It is what it is. I know they've been trying to capture that younger market. They've been talking about it for 10 years. They don't have it. They're working on it, but they don't have it. So, yeah, I guess you just have to figure out what it is that works and how.
Yep, exactly. So, we need to wrap up. We're already over time, and I have a million pictures to take. Oh, my goodness. But going back to like our goals and everything, I mean, I think last week, like I said, I've been able to stick to my listing goals. I've been doing really well with that and been able to continue. I haven't increased my daily listing yet because I'm still kind of in the process of getting used to constantly bringing in new product and making sure I can keep up with that. And I don't think at this point, like I said, my listing bank is completely empty. So if I increase my daily listing numbers, it would only make that more difficult. So it's working for me so far as is. But we had made a goal last week that we were going to do 2 sourcing videos, and we did those 2 haul videos. Those are already out. If you haven't seen them, go ahead and check them out. It's a lot of stuff that we picked up in Washington, as well as some other stuff. And then we did film 1 haul video for this next week today. It's probably going to be the only haul video that goes out this next week, but it's all the stuff that we got. We went thrifting yesterday, unplanned thrifting, and actually did pretty well. And so we found some really cool stuff that we're excited about. We had some really great luck, which is, not super common anymore with the thrift stores here. And we've also been able to keep up with doing our reading.
Yeah.
What are you reading right now?
I am reading a Stephen King book that for some reason I did not read and did not own. I own every Stephen King book, I thought. So I had not read this book. It was a book that Lorna found when we were outsourcing with Lorna in Washington, so she gave it to me. And I'm reading it now. It's a short stories one, so I'm about halfway done.
I am currently reading, and we just took back our physical library books yesterday, and I think we're going to stick to just the ebooks. I'm going to get you set up with being able to borrow ebooks. But I am currently
reading. See my
reading,
tech support. I'm going to get you set up.
Yes, that's right. I am right now. I'm reading one of the newer. I don't know if it's the newest or newer within the last couple of years. Bret Easton Ellis book. It's called The Shards. It's really good. He wrote like American Psycho. He wrote.
That was a really good book.
Yeah, he wrote.
Good movie, but great book.
He wrote what's the book that's got the movies? The movie's got Robert Downey Jr. in it from the 80s.
Less Than Zero.
Less Than Zero. He wrote Less Than Zero.
Also a great movie, but I did not know that was a book.
Yep. It's a very good book. So I really like his writing style. And this one's really interesting because it's set in the 80s. It's like a fictional autobiographical kind of horror book. It's like one of the main characters, it's written in the first person as him, as Bret Easton Ellis in his senior year of high school, him and his friends, and then there's a serial killer. And so far it's really good. I'm only like a little bit into it, but I just like the way he writes. I like his voice. it's super interesting. So we're going to keep going with
Jody
that.
says she is starting the Dune
Nice.
series. I actually read Dune when it first came out. When
I could not imagine you reading Dune.
I was about 10 or 11 when I read Dune for the first time. I think I only read it that one time, but yeah. That was back when I was reading. I was 8 or 9. I was reading the Tolkien series, and I read Dune.
Yeah. Michelle, you read The Shards? I'm really liking it, though. So, yeah.
I don't know. Let us know if you guys are reading. What you're reading now. I can see. Yep. I see that a couple people popped in and said what they were reading. Let us know what you're reading. Give us some good suggestions.
It's another thing. Like, we're so stuck in this... I wouldn't call it a rut necessarily. We both like television. We like watching shows together. So we enjoy it. I don't see anything wrong with that. But sometimes it's like we have to be really intentional about, because we both like to read. I mean, you a lot of times read like when you're taking a bath in the morning. But I have to be like, okay,
I'm a bath person. And I literally read a book in the bathtub. I know, whatever.
Yeah, I'm like, let's read before we go to bed. So we've been getting some more reading in, so I'm enjoying that. But anyway, gonna continue my listing every day. I don't know. I'm feeling under pressure right now because, like I said, I have nothing left in my draft bank. I had 8 listings left today, so I listed those 8, but I have to hit my 10. But I need to take all these pictures. But then I got to get some measurements, so I might just like, when I get towards the end, maybe just get the measurements for 2 things so I can at least have my 10 for today. Because I want to keep on it, man. I want to stick to it. So, yeah, I do the true crime podcasts as well. But those I listen to, like, I'll listen to those like while I'm pulling stuff, or like while I'm taking pictures, I'm listening to podcasts, or I fall asleep listening to true crime podcasts.
I have, I've been watching, so I always have TV on in the background, so does Katie when we're working and listing. We've talked about this before. We can't watch YouTube, can't listen to other YouTubers because I want to stop and see everything that they're doing, and I can't get anything done when I'm doing that. And I'm not a podcast person like Katie is. I don't focus that way. I'm a visual, not an audio learner. I don't absorb music I can't even listen to music for that same reason. Anyway, so I always have something playing in the background, and right now I actually have been watching Blue Bloods. I don't know why I never watched that show when it was on. I very much like it, but I'm on like
it's
season.
Super repetitive to me.
Yeah, well, which is why it's good to watch while I'm working.
Very true.
Because you can follow the through storyline that's happening, and I have it on. So I have it playing in the background, right? So I have Blue Bloods, and I think I'm on season 9 at this point. I'd still have like 10 seasons to go or something.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, that's what I do. I have it playing in the background. I can glance up every few seconds or every few minutes and see what I'm missing. But that's something I can pay attention to.
True.
Very marginally while I'm listing.
True. All right, guys, we got to wrap this up. We're over time, and I have to get to work. So we appreciate you coming and hanging out with us. What are you going to do?
I'm going to finish listing some
more.
All
right. So then you go to work.
All right.
You get to work.
Get to work.
Thanks for coming and hanging out with us, guys. Be on the lookout for the upcoming haul video. And if you haven't seen the ones from last week, go ahead and check those out. And otherwise, we will see you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.